Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for attending. You've got the restaurant technology guys. Today's webinar, painting a picture of the restaurant of the future. Good morning to my compadres, Jeremy.
Good morning, Gary.
Ryan.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome, thank you. Our very special guest today, Art Julian. Art's the CEO of Custom Business Solutions, a benefactor of the Restaurant Technology Guys webinar series. So thanks for joining us, Art.
Thanks for having me. They can't see you nod your head. Yes, I know. So yeah, we're actually talking to people out here.
It's not just us anymore. Today's agenda, we've got to draw a line, so we'll start with where technology was in the past, where it is today, and then we'll jump into the future, which is really the most exciting thing that we get to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it's accelerating as we speak. And then finally, Q&A. As we're going through the webinar, folks, feel free to go down to the bottom right-hand corner of your control panel and shoot us in some questions. We'll try and answer them as we go through. If not, we'll catch them all in the Q&A.
Yeah, and if you guys have any issues as you're going through as well, just hit us up on that chat window, and either Ryan or myself will see them and try and weave them into the conversations as we're going.
So why is Art here? Deep background in the industry. Art, if you could just take us through where you started, and then you can segue into Custom Business Solutions, and we'll go from there.
Super. Thank you. Thanks for having me again. So I started back in the business in the early 80s, back in the day when, NCR truly ruled the roost. Micros was just starting out. I worked with a company called Victor Technologies. One of the things that I was able to do was grow the cash register business into what was then the fledgling PC business. And so we got to marry both cash register and PC technology back when there was the world of Novell networks and all of those kinds of things.
Okay.
So.
And then that led you to?
So over the years, worked different companies, all for the most part tied into the point of sale industry. 1994, we incorporated Custom Business Solutions, truly as a provider of technology just to the restaurant space. Had benefit of doing general line retail, liquor store, specialty retail in the past. And when we started CBS, we said, you know what, we're going to really specialize in a single product. And with that, we chose POSiTouch as our vehicle for growth. It was one of the up-and-coming products of its time. Since then, we've been POSiTouch's #1 reseller for the last 14 or 15 years. From a pure volume standpoint, we are an IBM business partner now. Toshiba, we sit on the advisory council for Toshiba. So some of the latest products that has just been released, we literally sat there and had a lot of hand in getting those products designed and brought to market.
Which really leads us straight into CBS and our participation in innovation and the growth of technology within hospitality. Right. So how did we get introduced into innovating for our partners?
So I guess part of it started with the name, Custom Business Solutions. It was like, some of the people around here would often ask me, why couldn't we be out-of-the-box business solutions? It would make life a hell of a lot simpler. And that being said, it didn't solve problems. And so innovation typically is designed to drive and create solutions for people. And so if you look at just some of our North Star products, our earlier products, our Recipe Viewer product, one of our large customers in Cheesecake Factory brought us a problem that said, how do we securely distribute hundreds, if not thousands of recipes from a single site behind our firewalls and deliver that content? So we created a product, innovated a product to be able to do just that. Other customers needed custom reporting. We brought out our North Star desktop, workflow management, our North Star desktop, things that people weren't doing 10, 12, 15 years ago. And then most recently is our North Star order entry system, which is a tablet-based, iPad-based point-of-sale system that truly does address this whole notion of where the industry is headed in omni-channel ordering.
Yeah, we've been sitting with our partners for years and years now, working on their challenges, their problems, and coming up with those software solutions.
Yeah, and I think you guys will see that thread throughout the whole webinar today. Is typically the technology is there to enable businesses to go farther, faster. And so as we talk about what it was, where it's at today, and where it's going, it's all in an effort to try and drive people to higher levels of productivity, higher levels of profit, right, using technology to enable those things.
Right, increase revenue and enhance the guest experience.
So yeah, I mean, there's no reason to. I mean, and Art has said this for years, is there's no reason to create technology for technology's sake. It really needs to be something that's solving a business challenge. And so hopefully you guys will see as we talk about these things, that's where we're going with it.
Cool. So let's go backwards real quick. And, you know, over your career, Art, you've seen changes decade by decade.
Yeah, it's I guess the good part, it's good that we don't have cameras. You can't see how gray my hair is, that you got to live through all of this. But, you know, if you think about 30 years ago, you had companies like Remenko, you know, their innovation was the first soft check printer out there. You had companies like Squirrel. They were literally the first touchscreen system out there. There's actually one before them, Microverdix.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Turner used it 20 years past the company being no longer in service. But, you know, touchscreen innovations all happened, and then there was the cornerstone of all point of sale, the inevitable NCR 2160 with a 4-inch green screen and a keyboard that some customers still emulate today in their point of sale world, our friends over at In-N-Out. And so that's kind of some of the innovations that happened 30 years ago. But it was a big deal. You know, you had a Remenko system that had an 8-inch floppy and a computer that weighed 400 pounds sitting in the office. And then as time changes, you know, we talk about 20 years ago, the advent of PCs, and you have companies like POSiTouch get created, companies like Aloha, now NCR, you know, that really drove themselves. HSI, I think, was just most recently retired by Micros, but they were all founded around PC technology, you know, open architecture, be able to buy stuff off the shelf and be able to make things work as far as a point of sale system. And it was really all about store-based software, right? I had databases in the store. I could do things all in store, but we could do things far beyond what you could do from products of 30 years ago. And then as the point of sale industry got more sophisticated with some of these things, what they found, what they needed to layer on was a way to control those systems, a way to gather data out of those systems. The control point really happened after they figured out they had disconnected systems out there and not very clean data, but you had back office systems that came up with ways of addressing it, you know, the C2Its of the world, the Restaurant Magics of the world, the Crunch Times of the world. How do I capture information to give actionable data to the operators? And then, you know, more recently, things like loyalty systems, again, above store tools or external labor tools like a hot schedules that said, hey, give me a way to use technology to allow my manager to go build a schedule from home that can be communicated above, outside of the restaurant itself. So you saw this growth happening outside of the restaurant space, or the individual restaurant space. You know, if you just look at the things that we talk about, you know, Squirrel to Aloha, POSiTouch to, you know, these external tools. And then, you know, 5 years ago, people don't recognize, we actually had to go look this up ourselves. Apple iPads came out in 2010. You know, so it's now, we're now in 5 years. And if you think about tablet computing into itself, you know, Jeremy's sitting here with a Microsoft Surface 3. It's got more power in it than any of those other computers, point of sale systems I mentioned, in this little tablet that weighs, you know, 3.5 pounds. And so, you know, iPads came out, no one recognized what they were going to do to the computer industry, let alone what effect it was going to have on the point of sale industry / restaurant space / the rest of the world, and how it's changed so much of what we've done. You know, so from that aspect of it, you know, you truly are seeing that curve where technology is becoming more affordable, more impactful, and quite honestly, your consumers are getting much smarter. I mean, they all live in a world that, my 7-year-old granddaughter can download apps and load things up, and her dad has to change passwords when he doesn't want her to download all of those things on his account, of course.
We're more sophisticated buyers now, and so
and more sophisticated users.
Yeah. Well, I think the proliferation. I mean, if you think about Bill Gates and his goal to have a personal computer in everybody's home, that was in that was kind of in that 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. That proliferation. When you would walk into a restaurant 20 years ago, if they had a touchscreen computer, it was pretty exciting. It didn't happen everywhere.
Right.
Now, when you walk into a place, if they don't have a touchscreen, if they don't have a technology, you look at them like, what the heck happened to you? And so, just in that 20-year age gap, it's sped up and kind of moved the technology forward.
Absolutely, and so that leads us right to the role of technology today. Inside of our businesses. What are we to do with technology in hospitality?
So today, I mean, if you think about it, technology and hospitality kind of go hand in hand, right? Whether you be restaurants that are putting tablets on tables, or you go back to the most traditional point of sale, and all the way back to the Reedy Boys of NCR back in the 1870s, which is cash control, cash control, cash control. I mean, that role still needs to be fulfilled, but you now need to fulfill that role and keep up with the demands of the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Jeremy, as we look at technology of today, this is what helps us run our businesses. To your point about it's unusual to walk into a restaurant that doesn't have technology enabling their business.
Yeah, no, and I think, Art alluded to it earlier. I think that 20 years ago, people were buying the first touchscreen open architecture systems. 10 years ago, they were enabling, credit card processing and labor management systems into those. So they've taken and added to the traditional point of sale, the traditional brick and mortar, in a significant way by adding add-ons to kitchen automation and loyalty and seating systems and recipe management and data analytics and above store reporting and all of these different things. Almost everybody has some form of labor management, some form of cash control, and some form of inventory management through their traditional technology solutions. Mm-hmm. They might be connected, they might be disconnected, they may be a multitude of systems, but today most everybody has restaurant management tools that will allow them to manage the largest percentage of their business. Really where we're going to go in our future slides is to talk about the role of what technology can do to either differentiate you as a brand or enable you to hit the customers that you're looking to hit in the spaces that you're looking to hit them.
Right. Yep. And so as we're plotting the future, why is it so important for restaurant operators? I'm going to bring Ryan into this conversation because statistically these are wild numbers that we're looking at that validate all that we're talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, where restaurants are today, the amount of information that restaurants collect is just incredible. Take Pizza Hut, for example, one of the largest pizza chains in the world. They had all of this data coming in, and by simply looking at the data and taking actionable and usable steps and altering their marketing to that data, the information they were already absorbing, they were able to turn their spend, their marketing spend, and increase it by 12 points in the ROI.
Right.
Just by leveraging the data they already had.
And then inside of those numbers,
inside of that, they had 30%, 38% improvement, almost 40% improvement in customer retention, and then some more numbers that aren't even on the slide. They had a 9% increase in customer visits just by being able to tailor their message a little bit more specifically to the data that they were collecting.
Yeah, engage me as a customer
so
and recognize me.
Almost 10% increase in customer visits. If they're doing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a day, by increasing that number 10%, we're talking another hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars increase just from organizing the data they have. And this is moving forward, we're only getting more data. And we're only enabling the technology, or we are enabling the technology to be able to do this. Just like Genghis Grill, this was really the only kind of case study I could find that wasn't a marketing ploy, or marketing, I say marketing ploy. It wasn't really a marketing campaign from one of the solutions out there. But they reported they saw a 31% increase in the table turns, enabling guests to order and pay. So there's a huge operational effectiveness to the technology, and there's a huge operational efficiency that comes with empowering the guests to be able to do these things for themselves.
And so statistically, take us through, because you're going to look at this demographically, help us understand these numbers from a high level.
So what you're looking at is a snapshot from the NRA Technology Consumer Survey that was done in 2014, but it was recapping 2013. And so these numbers, just as a preface, these numbers are a little bit old, and I would say that the numbers have grown since then. But you look at the age segmentations, 18 to 34, 35 to 44, all the way up to 65 plus. The numbers, you expect 18 to 34. This is how much they use their technology to do normal things that a restaurant goer would do. Looking up directions, ordering takeout, using rewards, etc. You'd expect 18, 34-year-olds, us young bucks, we're out there, we're always on our cell phones. 35, 44, maybe. But you don't expect the 45 to 54 and 65 plus people, those age demographics, to have numbers that they do. Looking up directions, 31% 65 plus use a smartphone to just find directions. I made the joke earlier, it might be at 3:30 in the afternoon to catch the special, but they're still using a smartphone. And so that's still a marketing opportunity, that's still a data collection opportunity for you. And then you look at the children under 18 in the household, 80% look up directions. These people are that segment is the group that's going to eventually be that 18 to 34-year-old segment. And the 18 to 34 are going to be the 35 to 44. So you see this upward trend in just technology usage by the people. I don't think I need to sit here and belabor it because we see it all over the place.
The examples are there. So
yeah, no, and I think back to Ryan's point just a little bit ago, we have to be conscious of the fact that if you're not enabled, you're being left behind. If you're not in a place that you're going to enable the guests to be able to find your restaurant, be able to look up your menus, all of those kind of things, you're going to end up being left behind. And so thinking about those things and making it at the forefront of where you're going is important.
Absolutely. And if we were to jump into these numbers just at a high level, on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis, I'm having these conversations out in the field with our prospects and our customers, evaluating how much money they'll be spending on technology this year and next year and the following year. And so within family dining, casual dining, fine dining, they probably have the biggest opportunity because their challenges are their brands themselves. The fast casual and the ability to get a high-quality meal quickly has changed the landscape drastically. And so we see our technology partners and the folks we deal with are talking about this stuff daily.
And when you say customer facing, or you see this customer facing, a lot of things that tablet technology, consumer-based tablet technology has allowed us to do is do things like put iPad minis at servers' hands, right? Where in a traditional point-of-sale world, that was a $1,200 to $1,500 spend per server, right? And so you wind up with customer-facing in staff's hands that isn't necessarily tabletop, right? And people are spending money doing it because it empowers a server to be able to better serve a guest. And so customer-facing technology doesn't always have to necessarily be a device at the table, where you literally now can have devices in people's hands far more affordably and in a format and a design that people are used to dealing with, whether it be the server or an actual operator.
And one more thing I want to add to that is the pressures that you guys see, read in the news media and Nation's Restaurant News about labor costs and food costs continuing to increase and minimum wage increase.
Minimum wage of McDonald's workers.
Minimum wage of McDonald's workers just last week or the week before. All of those pressures continue to mean that you're going to need to innovate, because you're going to price yourself out if you just take price increases because of labor and food cost increases. So you're going to have to figure out how to be smarter about the way you go about doing your business. And so clearly, as Nation's Restaurant News has done this survey, or I'm sorry, the NRA has done the survey, everybody's looking at those things. And so as you're thinking through your spend, you need to understand that you're going to have to spend money on it in order to stay relevant and in order to mitigate some of these risks that are inevitable, that you're not going to be able to change minimum wage from legislation. I mean, you can lobby as much as you want, but
one of the big ones that's coming up right now is from both a front of the house and customer-facing technology standpoint, and I know you guys have done some webinars on it, is the whole notion of EMV. Mm-hmm. Is the point-of-sale system I've been running on going to help me support the EMV initiatives for October for later this year, or where does it put me? And it's forcing people to look at what are my current providers doing for me to deliver solutions.
Yep, very much so.
And so why is it so important to restaurant operators? We found this from TechCrunch, and what if the Dorothy effect? It was something that came up amongst us also, but really anecdotally fits into what we're talking about. We're all at once enthralled by the magic we now experience on a daily basis, while also being forced to face and fight the lions, tigers, and bugs that come with it. The role of the restaurateur now involves embracing technology while making sure customers don't feel like they're overwhelmed or inconvenienced.
Yeah, no, and we'll talk a little bit later about, I mean, I said it, we don't want to do technology for technology's sake, but customers are expecting a better experience. They're expecting to pay less money, they're expecting it to be faster, and they expect you to meet them where they are. Yeah. If any of you guys have listened to, I mean, I've got 3 children at home, and baseball and soccer and taekwondo and all of these different activities, I'm on the go constantly. So I'm more apt to to go to a restaurant that I know I'm going to be able to get the experience that I need to fit my lifestyle than to change my lifestyle in order to eat.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so that begs to, what does that mean? Customers want technology.
That being said, and again, maybe this is the color of my hair that brings this out, I'm a firm believer that people don't want things for things' sake. People don't want technology for technology's sake. I believe that customers want, to Jeremy's point, to be empowered, to be able to fit their lifestyle, to be able to control and make changes to their items, to pay a bill when they want to be able to pay a bill, to get a server to their table when they want to get a server to their table, to be able to do the things that they need to do. And technology might be the vehicle that drives it, but the demand is really that of, get me out of here when I'm ready to go.
Give me a customized experience that matches who I am, not, the offers that might get sent to Art are going to be different than the offers that should be sent to me. And if both of them go out and they're the same exact thing, I can tell that they're not necessarily catering to give me that loyalty type experience. And so with that, it's not technology for technology's sake, but it's technology to enable a higher level of guest satisfaction and a higher level of knowledge as to what your guests are ordering, what they're doing with it, where they're going with it.
I mean, one of our benefit statements we even talk about in our recipe viewer product, right, is really a tool to enable better consistency. What does better consistency deliver to you? It really delivers to you a better guest experience, because I don't have go-backs. Food is being delivered the first time, the right time, even to that. So it's not just about the latest gadget. It's truly about technology. How do you make it better for your customers?
And so customers really want empowerment.
They want empowerment. They want to be able to get the experience that they went to X, Y, or Z restaurant group for, and they want all of those expectations fulfilled.
I'll tell you a personal story real quick. Last week I was out and we needed to order pizza, and Pizza Hut enabled me to order pizza faster than anybody else, and so we ordered from Pizza Hut. They got that wallet share whether I like that brand of pizza as much as the next guy, I went on to the place that I wanted to order pizza from. They didn't have a mobile-enabled app, and so I went to Pizza Hut and ordered pizza. I mean, this is a real-life story last week for my family.
Yeah.
So kind of just the validation to the points. But it's not just for technology. I didn't want to go download the app, but it made my life easier and it fit my lifestyle where I needed to be.
You could do it from where you're at and accomplish what you're trying to do in the time frame you needed to do it.
Yep, very much so.
But at the end of the day, it's good. Either way, it's good for business no matter how people are coming in through the door. Technologies of tomorrow, I'm going to run through here. Mobile, obviously, more and more users on smartphone. We see the statistics rising weekly. Wearables, these entered through the fitness genre, if you will, and are now segueing over to take up more of our lives in what will be released later this month, April 24th, I believe, for the Apple Watch. And then beacons and BLE. And what effect that's going to have on us as consumers with our smartphones. And then lastly, the analytics, which just to Ryan's point earlier with the Pizza Hut numbers, the analytics cannot be denied. It allows us as business people to dig into that data and get more out of it, more efficiently, more effectively, and inline messaging with the consumer by segment.
Yep, very much so.
So, omnichannel ordering and mobility. If you participated in any of our webinars, we've talked about omnichannel in our product, North Star Order Entry. But from a validation standpoint, these other major players coming online and offering these same capabilities differently for their segments. But guys, what do you guys see?
Yeah, I mean, I think just defining omnichannel is, if you guys weren't on some of the webinars where we talked about it, I'll give you guys just a high level. You need to be able to take orders from a tablet, from a phone, from in the restaurant in person, from a PC, all of the different ways that people can interact with your brand. You need to be where they are. And so, you know, as we're kind of looking at the crystal ball, you need to be in those places. And so, Art, talk a little bit about where you see Amazon going and or Best Buy going.
Well, if you look at all four of those up there really quickly, right? Amazon, you know, Bezos got all of the hype about, hey, I'm going to deliver stuff with drones and you'll get it faster. But I mean, they truly define what a great web ordering experience is. If you look at Best Buy, I can't imagine, I know for myself, a half a dozen trips ordered online, go pick up at the store because I don't want to wait in the line. The pickup line was only one or two people long. So again, empowered me to have a better experience. If you look at the Panera 2.0 story, right? Order at the table, order at a kiosk, order at POS. What do you want? We're going to make it happen. They just announced that they're expanding the whole Panera 2.0. And in the Stack world, Stack 3+ years ago was really the first restaurant group that opened with iPads at the table, point of sale behind the bar, kiosks in the waiting area so you could do a pre-order, so you could sit down with your kids, get through the whole dining experience, and get to the movies on time, and web ordering.
Yeah, and I think just to Art's point, you look at some of these big brands and everybody's going there. Everybody, McDonald's is going there. Chipotle's had it for a while. They started with fax and then it turned into, you know, you order and you go straight up to the counter to pick up your food.
You look at Taco Bell. Taco Bell, when they released their app, shut down all other channels of social media, and the only way you could communicate, and they've got millions of users in Facebook and millions of users in Twitter, and the only way you could do it was they drove you through their app. Did that for a week. I think at one point their app was trending as the most downloadable or downloaded food service app ever at the App Store, right? And so
I don't think there's any denying that you have to be in these places where people are and be able to take
it really is. It's incorporating this strategy.
Absolutely, but more importantly, by embracing an omnichannel solution, what you're doing is you're future-proofing yourself to embrace new technologies as they come out. The new iOS, the new this, that, the other thing. You're going to be safe because you're where your customers are, and you're able to pivot and adapt these new technologies.
So working with wearables.
Yeah, this was a little bit of a crystal ball idea, and I mean, Gary and I could tell a story of a vendor partner that we had that had Google glasses, when they were still on beta. And I know that Google's kind of changed their ideas on the Google glasses, but there was a Capriati subs actually launched Google glasses for training, and they would record the sessions that they were doing. I mean, I listened to a podcast about 9 months ago from somebody that had the training director at Capriati subs recording what the cashier was doing and what the facial expressions were, and then they went back and analyzed that. That's just one example. The Apple Watch is coming out. I think that you're going to see these embedded technologies that are going to be worn on you and not have to pull out a phone start to deliver real-time information to managers and servers and hosts and owners to be able to make better business decisions real-time within the restaurant. Knowing how to get the content to the people real-time without having to go back to a point-of-sale device, without having to go to your phone in your pocket and have it be uncomfortable. Being able to be on the floor rather than in the office to do data analytics is huge. I think that's just the start of it. We had talked about, even as we were looking in the crystal ball, how do you do this with consumers as well? Not just with the business tools and the business management tools, but I think that soon you're going to have to start to market to people on their wearable devices. The Apple iWatch, when you're walking by, or just before lunch, you'll get emails from certain marketing companies saying, hey, do you want to come to Rubio's for lunch today?
Right.
Trying to get that wallet share. I can see wearables turning into that same thing. Hey, reorder your meal that you had last Tuesday on your watch without even having to pull out your smartphone, without having to read an email.
Right.
And you're driving back to the office, and it automatically can reorder that food from there.
Completely
Not
simple.
there today, but coming. I'm certain it's coming.
Absolutely. Simplified. And did you want to share an example of in New York? No.
I think that's the next one, yeah.
Oh, with beacons. To Jeremy's point on the wearables, how is the consumer going to be sought via these wireless capabilities by the retailers, restaurants or otherwise?
Yeah, and it was probably 4 years ago when we went to NRF in New York, when we kind of first heard the whole idea of beacons. Art and I were there at the National Retail Show, and they started talking about these technology devices that you could put into your space. There it happened to be for retailers, where you put them into the space and they start to pick up the communication that's coming from these devices, whether it's tablets or phones, and it starts to know how long you're spending in certain places. It starts to capture the data as to who you are, what's going on, not necessarily down to the individual level that it says it knows that it's Jeremy Julian, but they can triangulate that stuff and start to figure out where you're spending your time, how long your place is. Guest Wi-Fi, we forgot to even put that on the slide. Guest Wi-Fi is another tool that people use to know how many times you're visiting Starbucks, what Starbucks you're visiting. They tie that to sales trends and all of these different things. But I think that beacons will start to make a huge impact as they've gotten cheaper, as the smartphones have become more and more proliferated into the hands of consumers. They're starting to know who's there, what they're doing, how long they're there. I know you guys want to throw a little bit more color onto kind of what beacons can do and why restaurants and retailers are looking to use them.
Well, I mean, I know last time I was in New York City, we were in the Apple Store, walking by the Apple Store in Central Park, and we got all of myself and my coworkers got pinged with a beacon saying, like, hey, we have this art gallery exhibit thing going on inside. So we go inside. He walked up to the art exhibit. Bing, here's info about the painting you're looking at right now. It's kind of creepy, but you walk to the next one. Bing, here's info about this one. So you know what? The application of that could be wildly successful. You walk up to the bar. Hey, are you feeling thirsty? How about a high margin drink? Or hey, how about it's happy hour? How about a high margin appetizer, for example? So the options and opportunities are just limitless.
And that timeliness, that ability to engage the customer at the right time, by demographic, all that stuff plays into more revenue.
You guys will start to see it become more and more, as you're in, especially in cities, they're putting them, you're walking by a restaurant, it's going to ping you saying, hey, come in for $2 off, and then now they've got you in the door, increasing that wallet share.
And then lastly, we joke about creepy data. I remember 3-4 years ago sitting and chatting with Art about how CBS was going to adjust and change our marketing approach to drive revenue, and I was describing to him our ability to dig into those analytics, and he had said, that's creepy. And it is creepy. At the same time, it is not to invade, but to enhance. It is to drive revenue in a new form or fashion in the way the consumer wants to buy versus the way it was in the past.
It's only made Google billions of dollars.
Exactly. There's a
good case study
in the world. You know, in the top 2 or 3 companies in the world as far as market cap in Google that's done exactly that. And so you guys will start to see, whether it's the example that Ryan threw out earlier with Pizza Hut, or it's Google, but restaurants are looking for you to join their loyalty program, attached to your transactions, so they can segment you and then they can market to you. Mm-hmm. You guys heard us talk about it with Paytronics when Eddie Ayala was here maybe 6 months ago, if you guys were part of that. You guys have heard it when we talked to Keith Morris from Arrowhive, the beacons, and kind of, they're tying all of this technology together to be able to understand who you are, what you want, and be able to market to you specifically, rather than I just reading a book I just finished it last week. Target has been doing this for a really long time, and Target's been doing this for a really long time, and amazingly, they will send out flyers and mailers that Gary and I are not going to get the same mailer. We might live on the same street right next door to each other, but the mailer that comes in the mail to us and an email is not the same one, because they have a team of analysts that are sitting and analyzing Gary's purchasing patterns versus my purchasing patterns and what we're doing. And so being able to aggregate that stuff and understand what's there. 60 Minutes had an article on it, 3 or 4 months ago. It's there to stay, and if you're not capitalizing on it, you're missing opportunities to be able to drive additional revenue and drive customer satisfaction with what you're doing.
The facts are the facts. Drive revenue, empower the guest, and be where I need to be to remain engaged so I can stay a consumer. It really leads us into, and Ryan had brought it up just moments ago, future-proofing your restaurants. So Art, let's give them some pieces that they can take away from this webinar and speak to a plan.
And so I think the first part of the plan is really that of, and it's tough to plan when the climate's changing around you, right? In a big way, the climate's changing around you. And so I think the most immediate thing that everyone needs to do is really is assess where you are today, right? Everyone is already being challenged in their platform that they have out there, their system, their point of sale system is really that of, can I even handle the demands and needs of EMV? I've got that coming up for later on this year. But so the first thing is really that of, do an assessment, figure out where you're at, attend webinars like this so that you can educate yourself, find vendor partners that are going to help educate you and bring you up to at least a point of knowing what's going on and what's happening out there. And sometimes those partners come in the form of very non-traditional partners. You talk about something like a Bridge, which is an analytics tool that goes and searches out all kinds of different data points about a customer to bring back more of that data without even having to be part of a loyalty program, all the way down to your most traditional legacy point of sale reseller or partner to say, hey, tell me what your plans are, right? So you understand at least where you stand from an assessment standpoint. And then I think the next part of that over the next year, 3 years is, where do you see your business growing and benefiting from what aspects of the layers of technology that you can layer on? It might be just a better back office system to drive better food costing. It might be a better labor scheduling tool to do better staffing, which is going to have happier servers, which is going to have happier guests, right? It could be, hey, you know what, we need to invest we need to be an earlier adopter of some of this newer technology, because what we have in our business today is truly older legacy pieces, and I don't see my current vendor keeping up with the times. And so you have to do those assessments and then truly try to build that plan that says, here's what we're trying to get done. In some cases, it might be, if I'm using a back office tool that is proprietary to a vendor, I might sit there and say I need to move away from that proprietary tool, because if I go to something that's closer to a best of breed, it gives me the opportunity to move into different space, whether it be ordering at the table, point of sale, online ordering, just a better back office inventory tool. And so I think it's really that of where am I at today, assess. If I had all the money and all of the time and all of the resources, where do I want to be, okay? And then figure out between where you're at and where you want to be, what you can do and what the plan is to make that happen.
I would also, I would echo Art's point. Just last week, the Nation's Restaurant News had a webinar where they talked about mobility and where it's going. Educate yourself. Read as much as you can. Follow blogs. Attend webinars like ours and our blog. And it's not all just self-promotion, but we think that we take the time to go out and research these things. We go to these events, MureTech, the NRA show in Chicago, the NRF show in New York. We travel all over the country. We talk to vendor partners and figure out what people are doing. And it's not just us. You know, there's others out there that are doing exactly the same thing, but we can get that education to you so that you don't have to be the one that's blazing the trail and doing it all yourself. We can tell you what other people have found to be successful, and we can tell you what other people have failed at, so that you can understand and we can help you achieve those things, whether it's us or other vendor partners. But get yourself educated out there after you've done that assessment.
One of the things that Art brought up as you look at your 1 to 3 and beyond plan, and Jeremy brings it up often, is how does technology fit into the brand? And that also will allow you the opportunity to future-proof yourselves. I'm going to go into the Q&A and start with a question that is straight from the last slide and ask Art. We're telling restaurateurs how to future-proof themselves. How does CBS, how do we as a company future-proof ourselves?
Well, I think the future-proofing, you know, we have always prided ourselves on delivering a consultative sell, okay? And so, you know, as I said, we're one of the largest POSiTouch resellers. We go in, we assess needs of a customer. If POSiTouch is the right fit, we deliver that. From a standpoint of pure futures, we've spent a lot of money and a lot of effort building out a tablet-based point-of-sale system. One of the guys, we just ordered our Apple Watch yesterday, so that we'll be able to demonstrate manager approving something on a watch, so he doesn't even have to leave a guest who we might be talking to. The watch will ping, he'll say, yes, I'll approve that adjustment to a time record, and it's all done. And so we're already pushing those envelopes. You know, our point of sale system, over 3 years ago, we did point-to-point encryption day one. There's a lot of people wish they had point-to-point encryption today, you know, Target and Home Depot and a few of those others. And so, you know, we have always been on, if not a bleeding edge, absolutely a leading edge, so that we can go out there, experiment with some things, and deliver solutions to customers, whether it be in that legacy world or in a leading world.
Yeah, we're well prepared for the future in that ability to offer this or this.
And I think even in a POSiTouch world, there is a lot of best of breed that's integrated with POSiTouch, and so looking at that solution, there's, you know, online ordering companies and hot schedules and all of these different players that'll integrate with that technology, as well as if you want to get to built from the ground up, Omnichannel, built from the ground up, tablets, built from the ground up. You can look at our other solution, which, again, if you guys have listened to any of the webinars about order entry, we've talked about that being someplace that people are going.
Well, and we've taken that same approach with that product also, and that is working with best of breeds.
If need be, and And even if we have a solution, there's times that we've gone best of breed because we have a solution, but it might be better off to use a Patronics for loyalty versus using something that's homegrown.
Yep.
So,
Rye, you got some questions coming in?
Yeah, we've got a couple questions. The new technology that we're talking about, how's it going to impact the job market for the hospitality space? Is it going to make servers obsolete? Are people going to have to be fearing for their jobs?
I mean, Art can give you anecdotes from Stack from 3 years ago of just tip percentages, and ironically, I've got an article sitting up on my screen on my computer that's exactly about that. Does technology make restaurant servers obsolete? And it hit my news feed this morning. I haven't read through the whole thing, but it definitely doesn't. It's, to our point, it's supposed to enhance the brand experience, not hinder it.
Yeah. Paul Montenko said it best when he put an iPad at every table, right? We want people to go from the mundane of just placing the order to being concierge and ambassadors to a better than service cycle and it's proven out to be very much the case. The technology is not to replace the server, it's to enhance every bit of it. You can put information at people's fingertips, whether it be about gluten-free, whether it be about calorie counts, that you can't do necessarily in other venues, whether it be on their phone off your website or at the table in a tablet.
Yes.
You can't do those things.
There was this big expectation that this would change hospitality and how servers did their business, and what we found is that folks are ordering more food faster and requiring a higher level of service through food delivery.
Well, and you also are allowing guests to do, we've used the example of the airline industry and kiosks, many times as we talk about this same question, because this is probably the most common question we get asked as we show our order entry product and guest-facing tablets. But the truth is for me personally, I would rather go to a kiosk at the airport because I know I can get what I need faster and get out the door. Same thing with that Pizza Hut example. Could I have called that other pizza place and probably gotten the same experience if I wanted to? Probably. Calling Pizza Hut versus this other place that I said, that example, probably could have gotten a decent experience, but you know what? It enabled me to do what I wanted to do, to interact with the brand the way that I wanted to at that time. So there are going to be people that are going to be coming in for a business lunch that don't want a high level of service. They want you to stay away from the table so they can have their business conversation, pay when they want, and get out. And there's going to be people that are going to want you to be there, but the technology is going to be an enabler, not a hindrance.
Ryan?
So we had a couple more come in, and thank you guys so much for being involved with this webinar and engaging with us. We're gonna limit it to one more just for the sake of time. But if my current point of sale system isn't a right fit, what would you recommend looking forward to the future for point of sale systems? Are the newer tablet technologies, are they the answer?
I think each of us has an answer to this. In my mind, and I'll put it out to the room, when it comes to deciding between newer technology and point of sale systems via an iPad or traditional point of sale, it really comes down to feature functionality and then back to how does it fit into my brand. If I'm looking for basic functionality, and this is just talking about the maturity of software versus something that is newer, that ability to enhance your business with the technology that best fits your feature functionality needs. Jeremy?
Yeah, and I would echo that you have to understand what you want. You say it doesn't fit. What doesn't fit about it, and what are you looking to get to? If it's all just what we just talked about today, then you need to be with one of those brand providers that's out on the forefront like ourselves and some others that are out there pushing the envelope. If you're looking for tried and true, stable, I'm going to be in McDonald's point of sale choices are going to be significantly different because they're in 200 countries around the world versus somebody that's opening up their first bar for the very first time. And so depending upon what side of the equation you're on and what your business needs are, it's going to change that evaluation. That's where I would start because that's critically important to understand what your needs are. Once you understand what your needs are, then you start to make an assessment. Don't just look at the top searches on Google as well, because unfortunately there's a lot of people with VC money that have paid a whole bunch of money to go to the top of the Google search for tablet point of sale that may not have the best solution out there to meet your business needs.
I'll go the other side. I mean, that whole world to some degree is in flux. If you noticed earlier this week, latter part of last week, Groupon is trying to figure out if they're even going to stay in the point of sale world. You know, so there are challenges. I think it really comes down to you understanding your business and business needs, being able to articulate that information to a technology consultant, and that technology consultant being brave enough to actually deliver the right answer. And sometimes the right answer is no. We don't do it, we can't do it, but you know what? Based upon 5, 10, 20, 30 years in the industry, don't know anyone else that does it. And if you do, be brave enough again to deliver the answer. Go call XYZ company, okay, and see how it's going to work. And then from that, if you've got the right consultant and the right customer who's willing to partner, you ultimately can come back with the right answer, okay? Without that, it's always going to be a hack of a hack of a hack, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And
I would echo everything that Art just said.
It's really hard to say no. It's really, really hard to say no, especially if you've got sales in your title somewhere, because at that point you get very, very nervous.
Very, very, very nervous. Thanks, Art. So with that, I know we're up against it in time. Thank you to Ryan, thank you to Jeremy, and thank you to our very special guest, Art Julian, today. Enlightening. We won't wait. God, it seems like it's been somewhere between 1 and 2 years since the last time we've had him on. But glad to have you guys all. Great, great dialogue. We'll answer your additional questions offline and push it out via Twitter. But thank you guys for joining us. We wish you a great day, and we'll see you the next time around. I'm going to wrap it up real quick. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.